Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You're always most welcome. Well, bit of a sad one today. Many of you will have seen, I posted up a message along with lots of people last week wishing the great Airfix artist Roy Cross a happy 100th birthday. Sadly, he didn't get to enjoy it for too long because the day after his birthday he actually passed away, I'm afraid, which is very sad. And apparently there's an obituary, actually, I've just got up in front of me the obituary from his son Anthony, and I'll just read it out to you actually so that you know from the horse's mouth, so to speak, from the family themselves. He says, a huge thank you to everybody who sent cards and various well wishes for Roy's 100th birthday. It gave him and all the family an enormous lift, as unfortunately he had to spend his birthday in hospital after being taken ill at home shortly before. I'm very sorry to say Dad died peacefully the following day, surrounded by his family, and the cards and mementos so generously sent by all his fans. We're all going to miss him enormously. Bless you all, Anthony Cross. So I'm afraid, I was saying something at the weekend, at least he got to know, he got to that milestone, at least he heard and he saw how loved his work was. I mean, the guy's a legend, really. I mean, he leaves a legacy behind him. It's quite remarkable. Now, many of you that know me and my channel know that I'm a far bigger fan of Matchbox in this sort of era. A bigger fan of Matchbox than I was of Airfix, but that was nothing to do with Roy Cross, I can assure you. For me, Roy Cross was I don't want to be too harsh on Airfix here, but their quality was, shall we say, variable in the 70s. Sometimes their products were actually really good, but quite a lot of the time they were quite poor, in terms of the plastic quality and the moulding and all this kind of thing. But Roy Cross is the man that kept me coming back for more, and I'm sure a lot of you will, definitely identify with that. As it had such a shelf appeal. His work was so incredible, and of course Matchbox. You could say he was in competition with Matchbox with the other Roy Huxley, who I'm a huge fan of. But it's interesting how they had different styles in their artwork as well, because Roy Huxley's style is he uses a lot more colour for drama, and you can see that Roy, who comes from, I'll discuss it in a bit more detail in a second, but he comes from an actual aviation design background. He worked for Fairy Aircraft, and you can kind of see that because when you looked at the artworks, they were both incredible. What made you want to buy the Matchbox or the Airfix from Roy with their attractive box arts. But the Airfix Roy Cross were more of a photograph. They were more realistic, you could argue. I think if you're of a certain age as I am, perhaps the Roy Huxley colours and the drama perhaps actually sucked you in a little bit more. But I think that if you're a little bit older, if you're in your teens or older, perhaps the Roy Cross definitely came across to people at that age. Perhaps it was a more mature, more technical, more photographic style. And he was such a great designer. So we won't talk about the competition between the two Roys, because that's kind of irrelevant. It's just me. I'm just saying that I don't think that because I loved Roy Huxley and Matchbox that I didn't love Roy Cross. For me, Roy Cross was like the heartbeat that kept Airfix going through those times, because, as I say, for me some of their quality wasn't great then, like it is today. And his illustrations were what sucked you in like a magnet to make you want to buy the product so much, and made it look so attractive to a young mind, or even older minds for that matter. So I thought we'll have a look at this book. Now I think I might do. I think a lot of us are upset that he's gone, but as somebody else said yesterday, what a life he must have had there. 100 years, if only, I'm sure many of us would give our right arm to live a life that long, and to have a life like this chap did, that was so full of talent and full of skill and brought so much joy to people, fired the imaginations of millions of young people all over the world, fantastic artist, really great. And he did other things. So we'll have a look at the book. I've got the Art of Roy Cross, and I've got my gloves on today because I don't own this book. It's someone has kind of loaned it to me because of the news coming through yesterday. And we'll also have a look at his website, because on his website it does expand about and go into other things he's done, and there'll be a lot of crossover between the two, but I think we'll have this as a sort of a launching pad, a bit of a tribute to Roy. And I think I might do a little bit more, particularly focused on the Airfix box art, because that is what he's known for, and what he was, probably when he had his greatest success made himself a household name, you could say, right across the globe. So I think that'd be quite nice. So I think I might do 2 or 3 of these and try and show you lots of things that will fire your imagination, bring waves of nostalgia back to you, and then make us appreciate, sadly, what we've lost, you know, with Roy. May he rest in peace. So I'm going to start with the book. I'll just put that down for now. Now this book is not Airfix specific or anything like that. It's just really about Roy's career. Now it says here he began work as an illustrator at Fairy Aviation at the end of World War II. I think it's 1942 onwards, thereabouts. And then later it was picked up when Airfix started to become popular. They picked him up because obviously the quality of his work was quite obvious to everybody. So I'm going to zoom you in. Let's have a look at this and see what we think, and see if it surprises you, because it certainly surprised me, some of the things that are in here. The book, by the way, is £45, or it's 65 US dollars, 78 Canadian dollars if you want to buy it. Still available, The Art of Roy Cross. And you'll see a lot of the early stuff, you know, from the 40s, 50s and 60s. Plus some of the things we're perhaps a bit more familiar with. And it's the book is by Roy himself, of course, and it says the book couldn't have been possible without his son Anthony and his granddaughter Jojo, who did the typing. Many thanks to them both. Tim Hall, modern cutaway artist supreme, supplied the cutaway of the Saunders Row SRA1, and to him and the management of Airplane Monthly, and to Jeremy Brooke of Constant Scale again, many thanks. Right, so let's have a look at some of the things he did. Now, you've got to remember that he was working at a time of very great aviation breakthroughs in terms of technology. The Fairey FD2 supersonic aircraft, which I think is the one that had the prototype. Is that the one that had the prototype nose, dipping nose for Concorde? I think it did. You know, the American X-15, of course, which reached 4,500 miles per hour. It's hypersonic, isn't it? And then it talks about his early days here, and you can see him there. He was in the Air Training Corps. And it's thought he was going to go straight into the RAF in World War II, but I think his talent was so great that basically he was picked up by Fairey Aviation. I'm just seeing if it says actually whether he used to live in near St Albans, doing St Albans and Hatfield, and he was always captivated by aircraft. And in fairness, I would just say, I've certainly no criticism of a dear friend Roy that we've lost, but you can actually see he does a lot of other things. Because of Airfix, gets involved with cars and things. But you can see that the aircraft is the area where he's absolutely spot on. You know, some of his car illustrations, they're still beautiful illustrations, but they don't quite grab you in the same way as his aircraft do. And some of these aircraft illustrations are some of the best art you've ever seen, really, for aircraft. Really, I'm sure you'd agree. Anyway, I'm digressing. Let me go back. So aircraft was his his love, which is why he was in the Air Training Corps. And that's actually a newspaper photograph of him doing an illustration. I think it's a BF 109 undercarriage he's looking at there. It says here, Adams Press. It's talking about the art of the day. It stayed at his Aunt Nell's, and he developed an interest in visual arts. On rainy days he was poring over books in which there were Victorian artists like Alma Tedder and Lord Leighton, with their almost photographic and romantic renderings of Roman and Greek scenes with voluptuous, languid women. Well, you see, his style is very photographic, as I mentioned. You can see it here. I mean, they're brilliant, aren't they? You've got Lysanders here. You've got the Blenheim, Bristol Blenheim Mark 1. They're so accurate looking, aren't they? They are almost a technical drawing that's become an artwork later, you might say. An Auster 4 air observation aircraft. Look at that. And it's the detail. He really is a graphic. He's not even a graphic illustrator, is he? He's a technical drawing expert. Stroke draftsman, really, that became an artist. He sort of morphed into it. And then here we've got the Sea Vampire. Again, look at the details. So you can see why he got drafted into Fairies. because clearly he was an ideal illustrator for a major company like that needs someone that's got that keen eye. Mustang P51. And this is a lot of his early work we're seeing here. What have we got here? Devlin Gypsy Queen. Gypsy Queen. Gosh. And then we've got the Fairy FD2. This is the research aircraft I mentioned. Fairy, of course, was the people that employed him. And that was the first aircraft to have a dipping nose, of course, wasn't it? Jet. Gosh, Saunders Row flying boat. This is the one he said was provided by a friend of his. And then we've got the Lightning prototype, the P1, over here. And he's even got details of things like airports. The airport in the background. Does it say where it's supposed to be? No, it doesn't say the airport. But did a lot of civil aviation subjects, including the Comet and the Britannia. Yeah, that's a good plane. They were a good aircraft, weren't they? And then you see what I was saying earlier about when he goes away from the aircraft. Still lovely illustrations, but not quite that photographic, supremely almost HD photographic sort of style. Becomes a little bit more stylised because it's not really his area, And then instantly back to amazing photographic quality here. Once he's back on his I was going to say his comfort zone, but it's really his natural hunting ground, shall we say, as an artist. Absolutely brilliant. It's a bit like me with models, It's like me building a model ship. It's not really my forte. I'll leave that to others, really. And here we've got the Vickers Wellington. And the illustrations he's done. I think that's an early one he's done for Airfix. And then over here we've got, look at this, it's a supply submarine that's actually refuelling a county class frigate, I think, isn't it? It's a proposed fleet supply submarine painting for which firm I have forgotten. It's probably Vickers in truth. I suspect it's Vickers. And then we've got the Hunters. Look at the Hunters. Single and two-seater Hunter. This is for Flight and Aeroplane magazine. And then look at that. Hunter launching its missiles. So you see, he did illustrations not just for Airfix, but for magazines and publications. Route Master Bus, doing a detailed technical drawings of the breakdown of the framework that supports the bus. Absolutely incredible. Wow. So I'm guessing he did a bit of work for the London Transport, I think this was. The Olympic Integrated Single-Decker Bus, so named after the Olympic Games in London in 1948. Gosh. The engine and front running gear of the Route Master Bus here. Look at that. He was brilliant, wasn't he? It was such a... Wheels. Now this is what I was alluding to earlier when I said that I got the feeling that he was a little bit out of his comfort zone when he went into this. Did some illustrations for Golden Books, apparently, in the 1950s and 60s. Craig Breedlove's Speed Jet Car, Spirit of America. And over here we've got a cover for the Eagle. For a cover of Eagle comic. He did a lot of work for Eagle kits as well, of course, which was division of the same company. Trains, and then the comics. He's doing illustrations for Silverstone Grand Prix. So it's Giuseppe Farina winning the 1950 European Grand Prix at Silverstone. Look at that. And then he's doing some the Ford Falcon compact car. He did such a variety of work, didn't he? Aerial leader motorbike. Mike Halewood winning the 1963 Alaman TT Senior Race. Look at that. Riley Elf. He was clearly being employed by. And this is again for the Eagle magazine, Eagle comic, where they would do various technical drawings, and it wasn't just a comic. It was they would always have these little sidebars or pages where they would talk about a tank or a vehicle, auto tanker. Look at that. Yeah, you can see there's a slightly sort of yeah, comic-like stylisation into these drawings. It's probably what he was being asked for. Gordon Bennett, look at that! A 1913 Gordon Bennett Depot Dussin aircraft. The Fokker D3. These are for various book illustrations he's done. SE5. Wow. That's just with 262 there, look at that. Awesome. What's that? The Santa Maria Savoria 55 flying boat. What a bizarre machine. With its engines up on these... engines up on like a raised nacelle. That's weird, isn't it? And then we've got the Convair American jet fighter. And then we've got the first book for Airfix with the Spitfire. Of course with Gerald Scarborough, that was written. And then he's done some space work on the Mercury project, again for the Eagle comic. A lot of this is comic work, and again it's got a stylised look about it. And then we join Airfix. Okay, so he's got the Mosquito, saying the Mosquito was one of his first illustrations, and the very second one he did. And one of, in his opinion, one of the best paintings that he ever did for Airfix. The Fairy Battle. And it's a bit of a sad story with this one, because unfortunately he says that the original painting was lost, and even the colour transparencies have gone as well. So there's only these printed versions, there's no actual original of it, which is very sad. They're bombing the bridges, aren't they, at near Maastricht, I think, in Holland. Is it Maastricht? Sedan. That's 1940. James Bond, Aston Martin DB5. Yeah. And then we've got a Renault Dauphine. The Renault Dauphine, look at that. And the Bentley Blower, of course. The Bentley Blower 12 scale kit. Illustrations here. Then we get a Wellington. I've got to say that that's not really my personal favourite Wellington illustration that he did. I like the later one better. The later one is the one where it's flying across, coming back across the North Sea. It looks like it is being chased by Messerschmitt Bf 109s, which many of you will be familiar with, I'm sure. And yeah, I think that one there is more of an early style, you know, bombing raid at night job. But I think the other when it's been strafed and attacked with lumps of its tail missing is much more, again, much more photographic perhaps, and yeah, a bit more of an exciting bit of artwork really. Then over here we've got the the Hawker Heart, is it? Yeah, the Heart and the Demon, I think it is. Hawker Heart, Demon. And then we've got some Mark 1 Cortina from Ford. And then we've got the Honda. They've done a number of racing and rally cars for Eagle comic. So these gave me no trouble, except they were larger in size. And then you've got the Honda Formula 1 car here. American Harvard. And then he's talking about the dogfight doubles here. I don't know if you can see this, I'll need to zoom in again. The dogfight doubles, you've got a rough cut illustration here of the concept of the dogfight double between the FW190D and the Sturmovik. And then over here we've got the Phantom, of course, on the aircraft carrier. Vietnam era. And then I think I commented about this previously, haven't I? When we saw this in that other book. And he's got the Boy Scout, and he said that he certainly wasn't comfortable doing figures. And he said that the Boy Scout figure was not popular at the time and became something of a collector's item because it wasn't popular, and it was very soon discarded and actually dropped by Airfix. don't know why they'd create a Boy Scout. I've never had a hankering to have a Boy Scout. The model, I mean, the model. Things like that. Let's move on. It's a strange choice, isn't it? It's not like Henry VIII, okay, you know. Boy Scout? I don't know what Airfix were thinking of there. And I don't think he was comfortable with it either from what his son was saying. It's mentioned in the website. I think it's... they also thought that the Robin Hood and the Sheriff of Nottingham's Castle was also one that was not a great seller either. That was a bit of hilarity surrounding that. Anyway, here you've got the Trident, of course. 1964. British European Airways, and you've got Mercedes 230. Look at that. Chrome accessories. Snap together parts. Electric motor driven. Same here with the Jaguar E-Type. Oh, Lord. Hey. Then you got some really interesting ones. The Triumph TR4A and the Triumph Herald. And the 1911 Prince Henry. Good Lord, look at that. Interesting subjects here. I have to imagine they were all great sellers. The Girder Bridge, remember this being, yeah, that was quite a popular seller actually in the railway community. The Girder Bridge and then the Pontoon Bridge. And this is one of those, became part of that. The play sets, the D-Day play set with the Pontoon Bridge. They did, of course, a coastal defence set as well. Wild West Fort, Sherwood Castle, should say, Roman Fort, and Waterloo Farm. And then, now here we get to the latter day stuff in '74. It says here, the revolutionary takeoff of the Hawk Siddeley Harrier was a big seller for Airfix. Right from the early P1127 kit and the succeeding versions. In both the usual 172nd and of course also in the 124 scale Super Series Super Kits of 1974. This is one of the originals done to refresh the box top or cope with various packagings. The plane itself took many years to perfect, and its successor today, the Joint Strike Fighter F-35, is a multinational effort manufactured in America with the UK as a full partner. Seems to have taken even longer getting into service, as its original inception date was 1983. Oh crumbs, I didn't know that. Okay. One wonders how much the single-seater fighter can be improved upon, and how long a successor already being discussed will take to reach service status. It's a nice bit of illustration, that, isn't it? I do quite like that, actually. Yes. Looks like an updating of the one from 1968. And here we've got the Airfix Beam engine. Wow, look at that. Battery driven construction kit. Absolutely brilliant. This is when they had these sort of museum models. And the idea was to be educational as well as just a kit, not just a toy. Free Enterprise 2. Is that the one that went down in at Zeebrugge? I've got a feeling it is. Came down as the Herald of Free Enterprise, didn't it? Lysander Mark II. Nice illustration there. Lee Grant tank, I remember these. This is the 1960s now. And the Matador and 5.5 inch gun. Gosh. And then talking about his other work. And it's saying here that he worked for Shell. Yeah, various publications he did work for, and then he did a lot of marine painting. Now look at this one, because this is impressive, I have to say. This almost has the Aeneidian line music sort of buzzing in my ear. It says marine painting, and I've got to be honest, I think he was, this is the other area where I think he reigned supreme, Roy Cross, because his marine painting is just so photographic. It's just brilliant, actually. Certainly better than things like the cars and the other items. Again, some really nice paintings. The Clipper, fine Clipper. Remember this one? Beautiful. Absolutely stunning. The Falmouth Packet, Walsingham. Falmouth Packet Service. Wow. That's a lovely one as well. It captures the sort of way the sails catch the wind. It seems to capture that so beautifully. And again, there's a sea battle here. Looks like the Royal Navy versus the Dutch Navy by the look of it. Is that right? Have I got that right? Yes. On the Wars of Independence in 1812. American colonial ship versus the Royal Navy having a battle here. Wow, he's done these really beautifully. I don't think I've seen these before. French warship, the French Republic, the frigate Nymph. The Nymph. Great Britain and France. Wow, look at this. A real head-to-head confrontation. HMS Flora, 36 guns. Yeah, it looks like the British beat them on this particular occasion. Oh, these are nice though. Again, as I mentioned, the Oneidian line, it's very much like that really. The Boston Harbour, look at that. Wow, that's absolutely epic. And how he does all these illustrations, the breakdown of the way he sort of formats it up and builds up. Look at that. Mississippi Steam Packet Robert E. Lee steamer paddle boat. Wow. Amazing vessels were in this thing, they really were. And you've got a high sea steamboat, Cunard steamship, paddle steamer, the Scotia, built of iron. Wow. Sheesh. New York Harbour. Various other vessels. And then more recent aviation pictures. This is things that Roy's done a bit later in life, I think. Those are nice, aren't they? It's a nice illustration. Very reminds me of the TV series Wings. One in the 80s, wasn't it? Late 70s, early 80s. You can see the aircraft with his first love because they just has these beautiful sort of sunsets and albatrosses on patrol. Whoa! An SE5. And he's got some of the technical details for them here. And he did a lot of sea and coastal pictures as well. I think this is mainly for pleasure, to be honest. Eastbourne with its pier, look. Wow. It's beautiful the way he's captured the motion of the water on the rocks there, isn't it? Really, really interesting. And then you got some more beach images. I think he did these mainly for pleasure, but again, look at the textures here, the colours, the way the waves are crashing. It's very classical, isn't it? Quite remarkable. That's it, really. Beautiful pictures, though, aren't they? Absolutely fantastic. Now that is a real mixture there of Roy's work, some of which you won't be aware of. I certainly wasn't. But I'm going to show you now, just on the website, which sadly has officially announced his passing. But it's definitely. I'm going to put a link below the video so you can all go and have a look at this, because I think it's definitely worth having a nosy, because it's actually quite a good website. And it's got a huge amount of his work. Now just click on Airfix just to give you a bit of a flavour of this. You'll see what I mean. Let me just bring this over and get rid of reflections. He says, he's said and done. Airfix, read more. Here we go. So it's roycrossfineart.co.uk. When we go down, you start to get a bit of a feel for the various things. Starting with the DO117, sorry, the DO217, I should say. And then he talking about the Boy Scouts. What does it say here? Dad, this is by Anthony, his son. Dad was perhaps a little less comfortable with illustrations depicting figures, but his Boy Scout illustration is credible enough, and we have a good chuckle in family circles about the Nottingham Castle playset artwork, which depicts the imposing fortress being rather rashly assaulted by a lightly armed Robin Hood and his merry men. Yeah. Now there's actually a photo gallery, which this we've got to see, I think, showing his various work of the Airfix gallery. So check this out. Let's just zoom you in. Oops, so the fly is zooming past me there. Let's zoom you in for this. So you can see it gives you a flavour. And I will go into more detail on these in the next programme with a different book. But you get a bit of an idea for just exactly what we're going to be in for. You've got the Apollo seeking recovery chopper there. You've got the Invader Cromwell tank, the Mark 1, MiG-21, Dauntless. Is that the FA2 there? You've got the Marauder over here. A little bit Marauder. And you've got the Lysander here. You've got the RAF emergency set with the ambulance and the fire engine. Here's the illustration I was talking about earlier, about the one I preferred with the Wellington, which has been harassed as it tries to get home from the continent. Harassed by BF-109s. And then you've got the Matilda, some of the very early stuff as well. The Matilda, you've got the Zero. Some of this is completely unforgettable. I mean, the Spitfire here, of course. There you go. I mean, we all remember that one, don't we? Let's face it, that is absolutely incredible. Yeah, beautiful stuff. Leopard tank, Wessex, the Sunderland. I mean, that's a beautiful piece of artwork. I think that's one of his best, actually. So much is going on in that particular illustration. And it's likewise here with the B-29 Super Fortress. She's getting harassed by Zeros. And it goes on. And of course the one I used when I was announcing on my YouTube channel about Roy's sad passing, the Angel Interceptor, which seemed entirely appropriate really. And the Saturn V, look at the Saturn V going up. Absolutely epic, very, very full of drama. Some just incredible bits of artwork. Some I've forgotten about as well, like the Beaufighter. Now that one I'd nearly forgotten, and that's a really nice illustration. Torpedo carrying Beaufighter. And of course, unforgettably, the Mosquito. The FB6, I think it was, wasn't it? Well, this one's the Tetsi version with the 6-pounder gun underneath. Anti-ship cannon. The Meteor, first jet fighter to go into service. Yes, not the ME-262, that's wrong. I'm now led to believe. James Bond's DB5, it's not actually James Bond in it in this case, but it's the DB5 Aston Martin. And then you've got another one that's very memorable for me, was this dogfight double, the 6-day war. Dogfight double with the Mirage 3, Israeli Mirage 3 and the Egyptian MiG-15, and you've got some of the very early stuff there, Cripes are Mighty, Mustang, and then you get to the really early stuff like the Bombed Bug, Thunderbolt, look at that, that's a nice one. Cool. I don't remember that one, if I'm honest, I don't remember that one myself. Remember this one though, of course, this is one of the dogfight doubles, the Messerschmitt 110 and the Spitfire. And you also get the ME-262. I do remember it vaguely, but I'm not sure if I actually had that kit. I had the Matchbox one. And you got some of your steam trains, of course. Dakota. The Diner, that was a good one. Remember that one? Lovely artwork on this. The Diner. Japanese Diner. Being attacked by Corsairs as it tries to take off. And of course the Fairy Battle, which Rob was just saying was the book, saying that was, you know, one of his favourites, and sadly seems to have been lost, which is a bit of a shame. And there's the Mahusif Short Stirling, a monster of an aircraft, if ever there was one. So there we go. Oh, and there's another dogfight double. Of course, we had the ME-262 and the ME-262 and the Mosquito that was a nice set. So there you go. So that gives you a bit of a flavour of it all. As I say, I will actually put below this video, I'll put a link, click on, and you'll be fascinated because there's so much you got involved in, you know. It's such a long career, fantastic. It's a little bit sad that his 100th birthday and his last day, as it turned out as well. He was in hospital. It's a shame, yeah. But you know, 100 years old is a fantastic age, quite remarkable. I mean, if we get to 80% of that, we'd be doing lucky, wouldn't we? Really, to be honest. So, may he rest in peace. And I think it's a great loss, but you know, he made childhood for so many of us, didn't he? It's quite remarkable that somebody that talented can keep going for so many years. You know, that he just loved painting, you know, and he loved doing illustrations, and you know, I wonder how many he did. It's what I've got in my mind. I'm starting to query now, thinking, how many did he do? It must be hundreds, if not thousands, of pictures. You know, quite a remarkable man, and someone that has enriched so many lives, including mine, and I'm sure yours too. Anyway, thank you very much, Roy, and you will be sadly missed. But I'm going to do a bit more on Roy, a little bit more, up close Airfix detail. I think you'll enjoy that, seeing it in a bit more depth, focusing on his Airfix work. Stick around for that, folks. Hope you'll give me a 10 out of 10 and an R.I.P for Roy. And yeah, I hope you come back to see the others, because I think it'd be nice to look at some more of his work and see it a bit closer, a bit more high definition than we saw on there. That just gives you a little bit of a taste of what's to come, really. So stick around, folks. I think you'll enjoy it. I think it'll be quite interesting as well, and quite a nice way to honour him and his brilliant work. What a legacy he's left behind. You know, his work is ingrained into your brain, isn't it? It's, you know, you think of certain aircraft and you actually think of his artwork before you think of a model or a real plane. It just is burned into your psyche. Only very talented people can do that. Quite remarkable. Anyway, thank you for all the memories, Roy. Thank you. And thank you for watching. Anyway, on that note, slightly sad one today, but we can celebrate his life and continue to enjoy his work. I think he'd have wanted us to do that anyway. Thank you for joining me. Hope you'll join in for the other couple I'm going to do, because I think you'll enjoy those very much indeed. In the meantime, stay safe, stay well. Thanks very much for joining me. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Thanks a lot, and bye for now.